Hey guys, so I'm going to be doing a review on a probably little known movie. It's called The Mad Masters. Um, when I first watched it, I did not know anything about this movie, and so I kind of went in it blind. And so I'll start out by giving pretty much the synopsis of the movie. So it kind of starts out in an unknown location, or at least I probably missed it the first time I went through it. That tends to happen. Sometimes miss details the first time I watch it, so I have to rewatch it for it to sink in. But so it starts out in an unknown location, and it's really taken a more documentary feel. The movie has a documentary feel, and it's looking at these mostly black men, because I think they might have shown some women, but pretty much the entire focus is on the black men. And so, we get a look at them at their jobs, and then it switches to a more rural setting in this village where they are having these like rituals. And then the narrator is kind of going through and narrating during these rituals. And the narrator keeps referring to them as, these titles. So there would be like the general and the commander and, just titles rather than actual names. And then pretty much we go through all these rituals. And then by the end of the movies, we are going back and looking at these men at their jobs. So pretty much going back to the beginning of the movie when we see these men at their jobs in this more, I would say, outside world. So outside this royal like village, in the more maybe western world. And we're seeing them at their jobs that are normal. I had a few thoughts while watching this movie. One, I was wondering if this was actually French, because I think the title is French, but I the language I know the most is like Spanish, so maybe I'm completely wrong on this. And I think the narrator might have had a French accent, but it was in English. The version I saw was, the narrator did speak English. While I was watching the movies, he kept referring to them by these, like, titles, so, like, the general, the commander, and stuff like that. I was wondering if that was probably, a commentary on colonialism, so maybe they're trying to reenact, colonialism, this, like, outside force coming in and taking over with all these different authorities, and so they're kind of reenacting maybe to cope. Now I was kind of also wondering maybe it was propaganda for, Western society, trying to make this society of, these black society look bad. But as it went along, I was starting to wonder maybe the job titles was a reference to, like, the very beginning. We get like this pretty much a tour, if you will, of like all these black men and their different jobs and all this. And then we get this royal community where they're doing all these rituals, and they refer to them by the same job titles that they did at the beginning. And then at the end of the movie, they once again refer to them as these like job titles. So it's changed, your perspective of these people has changed from the beginning to the end, because you now see kind of what they do maybe outside of their jobs, if you will. And so that's why I was kind of also wondering, maybe this was more like a propaganda film to make these people look bad, this community, this culture look bad, because trigger warning for anyone, it does have animal killing. So there's chicken killing, but also there was a dog that was killed and eaten, and I assume that it was real, because this had a documentary feel to it. And once again, I kind of got the sense that this is more like propaganda, trying to make them look bad. And so I had to assume that that was actually real, and I had to look away from it because it kind of made me sick. Obviously, I know in some cultures, eating dogs is fine, but obviously I grew up with it, and it being taboo, if you will. So I can't help but get kind of nauseous while watching it, so I had to look away. And if anything, the reason that I regret watching this is just for that. But, if you're fine with it, then, you're fine with it, and you probably won't have a problem watching this film, but just FYI. So yeah, I was kind of, once again, I have not looked more into this. I don't like to go in and before I do a reaction or review, I don't like to go research more because I want the most raw, honest reaction to this movie, just so I can kind of get my own thoughts. I do think it would be interesting to go and actually read about what this was actually supposed to be, what the creators intended this movie to be, but as right now, so that was my review of the Mad Masters. Keep an eye out for my next video. Actually, I think because of the holidays, I probably, of course, I think my schedule has me doing, I think my next movie, or videos are going to be the Xena episode and the Lord of the Rings of Powers episode, so, keep an eye out for those, so yeah, you guys have a nice night, stay safe out there, and I'll talk to you later.